After 2 weeks of intense violence during which more than 700 people have been killed, according to activists, some relief in sight for the residents of Eastern Ghouta, a rebel-held area near Syria's capital, Damascus. An aid convoy started entering the area this Monday, but the UN says there are only enough humanitarian supplies for 27,500 people. Syrian government officials removing many supplies, including medical materials. This as government forces continue to reclaim territory from rebels. We can cross now to Beirut and speak to Joëlle Bassoul, CARE Communications Director for the Syria crisis. Hello, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now, what more can you tell us about this aid convoy entering Eastern Ghouta?
So this is the first aid convoy to enter the besieged area since mid-February. And we're talking about 400,000 people living there and who are in need of urgent aid. So as you said, this is enough for 27,000 people, and many supplies and medical supplies were removed from the convoy. So obviously this remains a drop in the ocean faced with the needs that we are currently seeing in Eastern Ghouta. The UN has announced that more aid should come in this week, but of course it all depends on the security situation and on the ongoing airstrikes.
Now, we know that the convoy has entered the area, but what about actually reaching the people who need it the most? Are you confident the trucks will actually be able to deliver their food and aid?
So the convoy entered the area just before the daily ceasefire announced by the Russian President Vladimir Putin ended. That was 2 p.m. local time. We're talking about 46 trucks, and it will take a long time to offload the aid that is on these trucks. The UN said that they had received guarantees for safety until night, if need be, to offload the trucks. And then after the aid is offloaded, it still needs to reach the people. So we're talking about a long process. And in the meantime, the people we talk to inside Eastern Ghouta are still waiting. There were airstrikes overnight. A few people were killed. We're talking about 40. So for people living there, the war has not stopped with the arrival of this convoy.
And so the UN ceasefire resolution and the pause ordered by Russia, the daily pauses, haven't made any difference then in terms of the violence that residents are having to endure?
Not really. It's been a week now since the daily pause was announced by Russia, and a bit longer since the UN Security Council resolution was adopted. And in the meantime, we've seen again daily death and daily injuries. The partner organizations we work inside Eastern Ghouta with have been telling us that nothing really has changed. They rely on the market to be able to buy products from the market and distribute them. And so far, we've only managed to distribute some flour to needy families. So the humanitarian situation has not improved, and if anything, will deteriorate as the besiegement continues.
And do you have any information for us on people fleeing the violence, managing to get out of the area? And if they do, where have they gone?
The people we talk to have not left the area. The humanitarian workers we work with have not left the area because, first of all, it is still besieged. So for them to leave, they're at risk of being arrested at the many checkpoints surrounding Eastern Ghouta. And also they're afraid of the airstrikes. If large population movements happen, they are afraid they might be targeted. And finally, for them, it's still home. So even though many of them have lost their homes that have been destroyed by the bombing, they do not want to leave the area.
All right. Thank you very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us. Joëlle Bassoul joining us there from CARE, joining us from Beirut.